What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Littlewargame video. Today, very pleased to show you guys this replay where I play against GyroCraft. And in this game, I'm going to go for a strategy that kind of made up on the fly. Haven't gone for before, but I think it's pretty cool to showcase. And I think it could be a pretty neat way to play Mech. Kind of an innovation, perhaps, on standard Mech play. So I'm pretty excited to show this match out. I hope you guys enjoy it. You can see GyroCraft opening with the standard one Raider. This is going to be a play where he's going to scout, kind of poke around to do damage, try to get into the main base, and kill stuff if he can. I'm going for Workshop Expand first. So just to explain what's going on here, I've gone for my Workshop first, which is really standard. It allows me to get a Gatling gun out early, and basically this Gatling gun should be enough to kind of scare away this Raider as long as you kill workers in time and control correctly. So I'm going to play kind of a little sloppy here, take a little bit too much damage. So I need to be pulling workers earlier here as soon as I see that Raider. So Worker's going to pull a little bit late, but he doesn't. I think I control well enough so that he didn't really want to push in, because if workers are at the top of the ramp, then he can just take too much damage on that Raider and be in trouble. So nothing really much to see here. Both of us are on pretty similar worker counts, similar time castles. This is just a really even, solid game for both players. He did go for 2 Raiders pretty quickly, so that means he had to cut some production on the workers. So that allows me to have kind of this single worker advantage that I currently have, although that's going to go away pretty soon as these castles complete and what have you. Also, I'm not mining on a couple of my workers, so basically any advantage I have is kind of negated. But this is really just a really even opening for both players. No advantages secured yet for either player. So GyroCraft is going to follow up with a double barracks play. Continue to pump out workers. Let's keep an eye on that worker count on the top left because it's pretty impactful for Littlewargame. And I'm going to go for this first mill. So I'm going mill off of a single workshop. And here, this is again kind of my unfamiliarity with the build. I'm trying to figure out a way to stop the Raider from getting in. And the thing I kind of decide on is putting the tower here and then hold positioning a single cannon here on the ramp. And you notice I actually canceled the mill before the Raider gets in. So from GyroCraft's point of view, this is really standard 2 workshop opening. Yeah, and we are on patch 3.1, which is a small revision to AA3. It basically nerfs Raiders a little bit, and it also nerfs priests, which aren't going to have too much of a impact in this game, obviously, because it's Mech versus Rax, and priests aren't that useful against Mech. So you can see I'm going to hold position that Gatling gun and get my double mill down. So this is really the innovation I'm talking about, is throwing down mills on 2 base against Rax. This is pretty common if you're playing against Beast to get a couple mills out and kind of get early Mech control with those gyros. But this is the first time I've tried doing it against Rax. So my thought for this game is I'm going to pump out a couple of these gyros early and catch him being a little bit greedy and cutting units. And kind of hit a pretty strong timing with my Gatling guns and my gyros. So that's kind of the game plan. You can see with these cannons, I'm sort of fishing around the map to try to find Raiders. I totally missed this force of archer that's kind of derping around my main base, but I pick off a free archer there, and I was actually really confused by a random archer. I didn't realize he had this army sharking around. And he's kind of looking to cancel a 3rd base here. He's expecting a 3rd base to be timed around this time. So that's what this little move out is designed to do. But there's obviously no 3rd base to find, so he doesn't really have anything to do there. You can see the worker counts are still really equal. So like this 3rd base hasn't really kicked in for him. He's not really gaining anything from that base so far. And I'm just throwing down, going to have a bit of a tech advantage because now I have this double mill. And I'm going to be starting to throw down a bunch of Gatlings as well. So I'm going double mill with the Gatlings off of 1 workshop. But if you produce pretty consistently out of your workshop, you're going to spend your gold pretty efficiently here. You can see I'm already pulling workers, so these workers are going to be coming to help with the Rax force for this push. Interesting to note that he has this force across the map, which is going to be a little bit awkward for him to defend, because my units are kind of already marching off the map, and he doesn't really have vision of this. He's just kind of been derping around with his units. And these archers are going to be way out of position when this hit kind of comes smashing in on him. He hasn't really been able to identify this beyond the fact that there's no 3rd base. So when you're playing against Mech and you don't see any 3rd base coming down, I mean, this is pretty late in the game, already 7 minutes almost. You really should be worried about this kind of push, because this Gatling push, even without the gyros, like forget gyros, just this Gatling push is pretty scary. And can do a lot. So already he's forced to pull workers because these workers are just, you know, very exposed to the cannons. I probably could have gotten 1 or 2 more workers here if I controlled a little bit better. But as it is, you know, I've cut his worker count down. I think I got 4 kills. So now I'm just kind of sharking around. I'm going to go with my gyros and try to kill workers in the top of the base. I'm just going to keep pumping them out from my base here. And also, with these units, I'm just going to kind of right-click on this castle and see if I can get the castle kill. This is probably a little bit of miscontrol by me. I should have been sharking more to the right side here. And this is just a little bit of sloppiness on my side, taking some damage on my cannons that I don't need to be taking. But eventually I'm going to be able to push back to this side, and he can't really keep chasing here because he's getting kited, and his workers aren't working, and he's getting wrecked in his main base. So it's kind of a tough position for him right now. He's going to try to chase my cannons down a little bit farther and get these workers back on mining, but now my gyros are going to start hitting his workers here. And these gyros have picked up quite a few kills already. There's no workers in the main. He's lost good 3 or 4 or 5, you know, he's lost quite a lot of workers. Even though he's producing off of 3 bases here, he's really losing workers here. And now I hit with my cannons again, and I pick off a couple more workers up here, and I go back to the main. So I'm just, you know, stretching his forces, right? Trying to stretch his forces as much as possible. And now that I see he has archers here, I'm going to move all my units to the left. And I kind of identify that he only has 3 archers in this position, so I'm going to actually kite around with my cannons and my gyros to kind of pick off his anti-air. And now these gyros are uncontested to start picking off more workers. So they're going to pick up a couple more worker kills here. I think I'm going to pick up another worker kill. Maybe I don't. Maybe because I'm just bad. A bit of a miscontrol here. I'm probably going back and building stuff in my main base. So now I'm forced to kite back. But again, I've really cut his worker count. He's down to 20 workers, 18 briefly. And I have basically a 5 worker economy now, continuing to produce workers. So this is really just a healthy and nice position for Mech to be in. I mean, when you're up in workers this significantly against racks, like you're loving life, really. This feels pretty good. And definitely I think there's maybe a few execution mistakes in that engagement that we could have done better, but as it is, it feels pretty comfortable for Mech to be in this kind of scenario. So now I'm just going to try to do whatever damage I can with my gyros. I'm going to go up to his main base. He does send in a raider to get a singular kill, but that's fine. We pick off 1 more worker there, and I think we probably pick off another couple workers here. Not quite 2 workers, only 1 worker there. I think I see that red health worker, and I decide to dive back and try to get it. But we do get it, but not this red health worker. So a bit of miscontrol there. But these gyros are again doing more damage, and again he's still at 21 workers. So he's been producing 3 workers at a time, but we've killed so many, especially with that last little push, that he's way down on supply. So now it's really an uphill fight for our Rax player, to Dragon Archer Z, to try to come back in this position. He's taking just so much damage from this early push. The cannons and the gyro combination was just tough to deal with the aggressive third base. But really, I think what made that attack so challenging to deal with, like the initial fight, was really the fact that his archers and raiders were kind of out of position from the initial engage. And now I'm pretty comfortable because I have this kind of equity in this force of gyros, so I can really harass. I can do some map control with these gyros, and I'm pretty comfortable to start thinking about taking a 4th base. I have my triple workshop, so I'm going to start producing catapults in high numbers. I'm at 33 workers, so I have a really healthy economy. I'm going to look towards that 4th base. And he's been forced to spend so much gold on workers now that it's really kind of an uncomfortable position for him. But of course, Rax, you know, can expand pretty nicely, and he can build these workers pretty safely now at this point. Once he kind of gets towers, he's pretty safe against gyros. So, of course, it's kind of tough for Mech to like finish a game. So there's definitely a lot of room for the Rax player to kind of come back in the game. You can see on the worker counts he's already almost equal. So even though he's pretty far behind, like particularly if you look at upgrades, like I have my first upgrade coming, he doesn't even have he doesn't even have a forge down, and he only has 3 racks. So he's definitely down on like architecture and stuff, but there's definitely still positions in place he can make here. Another worker that's gonna get picked. Does it get picked up? No, it doesn't. That's too bad. I could have picked up a free worker. Yeah, Thirst is happy with the gyros. Obviously, this is kind of an ideal game. I think this is a game that I really just surprised Daz. I don't think he's expected this build at all. I think it was a total blindside, to be honest. He might have been expecting like a hard Gatling push, but this gyro play was very unexpected. So I'm going to pick off a couple more workers here. I think I picked off like 2 or 3 there. And just keeping his worker counts kind of down. He's not fully saturated, and I've got already up to 40. So I've got a really nice economy. And I really didn't lose anything in that fight. So now my mech units can kind of just take position on the map, and I'm feeling really comfortable about just the position of the game right now. Even if you look at the supply, I've got a significant, about 30 supply up. 40 supply up, actually. Almost 50 supply on my opponent here. So it's just really, really comfortable for the mech player, and really tough for Rax to play from this position. But again, it's really all about reproducing those workers. But it's really been starting to tell on his money, right? He's been having to reproduce so many workers, and he's trying to get so much tech now that he's had to cut some worker production, and that's really putting the whole Rax force at a disadvantage, right? It's kind of a challenging position to play from. So now I'm just trying to lock down the position. I'm going to throw some towers on my left flank, start building up the architecture on my right flank to get this stuff defended. I'm going to get my first airship out. Even though I have gyros, you know, catapult drops are still the #1 killer of mineral lines. So I want to, and of course it's nice to have this to micro with your catapults in general, even in the main fights. I'm going to keep going for this kind of run by on the main. I mean, 1 tower is going to not do that much. And even if I trade out 2 or 3 gyros, like killing 2 or 3 workers for a gyro, or even a couple gyros lost, is totally worth it. These gyros are only 110 gold, right? And every worker is like significant cost. So I kind of get greedy here. I see this forge, and I kind of decided to click on it and go for it. Probably should have just clicked on the workers. I am able to snipe down a significant number of workers, but I'm going to take quite a bit of damage trying to get out. But that's still pretty fine. Like, at this point, my gyros are kind of like killing him. Like, he can't like deal with them. He doesn't really have enough units to deal with every position. And now even when he's trying to get towers down, my gyros just kind of show up and kill stuff. I already have +1 on them. And this is kind of around the time when I realized how few units he has and like how many workers I've killed. So I've decided to go for kind of a push. So I've got workers coming. I've got 4 catapults and a nice force of gats. And I also have +2 against 1/1. Well, actually, no, he only has +1 plus range on his archers. So it's interesting that he decided to invest in range. That I find that kind of interesting. I don't know if it's like that critical in Rax versus Mech. Here he does get a really good AoE off on my gyros, but my gyros are able to focus down the final units. And now he doesn't really have the army anymore to take this fight. He does get invisible on his soldier, so look at that +5 attack on the invisible soldier, really doing a lot of damage. And I think I go back and start up my airship upgrade. But a couple soldiers isn't really going to be enough to save this base. The AoE goes off on the airship, which is nice because it doesn't go off on that gyros. I think he would have killed a couple gyros if that AoE had gone off. And now his archers are kind of fighting under cattle chops and taking head-to-head engagements with the catapults, and it's really not enough. Dragon Archers V is forced to tap out. So this was just a really fun game showcasing gyro play, which I don't know if other people have been using it. I've never actually played this style before against Rax. This is literally the first game. And I actually have another game that's going to be showcasing pretty soon that was also really interesting using gyros. So I'm really kind of excited to see this unit used more. I think it's a tool that I've kind of been missing out as I'm playing through with my mech. So I'm actually pretty excited about the possibilities that gyro play opens up, because I think the thing that I realized is they're pretty solid units just to have as combat units. Like they're definitely, they take a lot of AoE being clumped up, but they're actually decently tanky, like just as army units facing against the archers. Like obviously archers are going to kill gyros, but like for only 110 gold, like they're not that expensive. They cost 3 supply, but they're kind of like any other mech unit. Like you can just use them like in your army, and they're also really good at dealing with drops and stuff. So as mech, it's really tough to deal with drops. So I think having this gyro force has a lot of benefits to it playing as mech. So hope you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully this was maybe a little inspiring to start using some more gyro play. I think they're good against beasts, but I think they're also have some really good usage against Rax. And I think that this game kind of showcased that. Even like just the aggressive timing is so much stronger using air, like dividing his attention between his 3 mines. was really effective and powerful. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts on this game. Go play some more Littlewargame, because it's an awesome game and it's in a beautiful state right now. Yeah, and with that, I will catch you later.